If he's not missing you right now, it's not because he doesn't care. It's because you've been too available to be missed. Want to flip the script? Want him constantly thinking about you, wondering what you're doing, replaying your words in his head? Here's how you actually make that happen. It's not about mind games, it's about emotional gravity. When a woman stops over-investing and starts showing up with quiet confidence, something shifts. He starts to notice the silence. He feels the gap where your attention used to be. And suddenly he's replaying that laugh, that look, that way you made him feel seen. This is how real missing begins. Not when you disappear to punish him, but when you pull your energy inward to protect your peace. Because when you give a man the gift of your presence and then take it away with grace, it leaves a mark he can't ignore. If you're tired of feeling like you're chasing someone who isn't chasing you back, keep watching. Because the most powerful shift doesn't start with him, it starts with you. Have you ever done everything they say? Pulled back, stayed mysterious, stopped texting first, and still got nothing from him? He doesn't miss you, he doesn't chase you, and instead of making him come closer, it just feels like you completely disappeared from his life. Here's something most people won't tell you. A lot of dating advice out there only scratches the surface. It might help for a little while, but it doesn't really last. Things like pretending to be busy or waiting days to respond don't build real emotional connection. Most of the time, they just cause confusion, or worse, make him feel nothing at all. So why doesn't that advice work? Because men don't miss what they don't emotionally connect with. If you're not sparking the right emotions, if you're not leaving an emotional mark, then pulling away won't do anything. But when you learn how to reach the emotional buttons in his mind, the ones that are built from both his biology and his life experiences, that's when things truly shift. This isn't about using old dating tricks or recycled strategies. This is about helping you shift how you show up, your vibe, your energy, and the way you talk, so that a man naturally wants to be close to you, not because you're hard to get, but because you're impossible to forget. If you're tired of guessing, pretending, or silently hoping he'll realize you're gone, stay with me. I'm going to show you how to become the woman he keeps thinking about, even when you're not around. So, what really causes a man to start missing you? Not just thinking about you now and then, but deeply feeling like something important is missing. It's not your looks, it's not how often you message him, it's not even about how much time you spent together. The real reason he misses you is something called emotional contrast. This is a deep psychological effect where someone has a strong emotional moment with you and then suddenly feels its loss. That space in between creates longing, and longing is what causes someone to miss you. Think about it this way. People don't miss background noise. They miss the kind of silence that holds meaning. They don't miss just anyone's company. They miss the person who made them feel something real. Men have emotions, even if they don't always show it. When you give a man a moment that wakes something up in him, when he feels more alive, more seen, more attractive, more inspired, those are the memories that stay. That's what he remembers when you're no longer there. But here's where a lot of people get it wrong. They give too much too soon. They keep texting, they give endless compliments, they're always around, and that leads to emotional flatness. There's no shift, no build-up, no break that gives him space to notice your absence. Without that, his mind won't chase you. Emotional contrast means being fully present when you're together, then stepping back, not in a cold or fake way, but in a smart and thoughtful way. You create moments that are fun, deep, or surprising, and then you give a little silence afterward. That change makes him think. It makes him replay what just happened. It leaves a lasting feeling. This isn't about playing hard to get. It's about having a presence that means something. You don't have to be constantly available. Be the kind of woman who brings something rare. When you step away, that emotional contrast kicks in. He starts looking for something to compare you with, and nothing matches. This is how you become someone unforgettable. Not by chasing him, not by using mind games, but by giving him a version of you that sticks in his emotional memory. Next, Let's talk about how to use emotional space and timing to not only make him miss you, but make him want to take action. What actually happens in a man's mind when you disappear? You might think he just moves on or gets distracted, but that's not always true, especially if there was already an emotional bond, even a small one. When you suddenly remove yourself, your energy, your messages, your attention, it doesn't just vanish. It leaves behind something strong, an emotional imprint. This is what stays with him. He might not even notice it right away. He could act like he doesn't care, but inside, his mind starts looking for what's now missing. It's like when you lose access to something that made you feel good. Your brain starts searching for it. Most women don't realize this. When you stop reaching out, his brain doesn't just think she's gone. It thinks something's wrong. That confusion leads to curiosity, and curiosity keeps you in his thoughts. He starts wondering, did something happen? Is she pulling away? Is she with someone else? And just like that, he starts looking back at your recent conversations, trying to understand. That moment of reflection is when he starts emotionally reattaching. It should be, for my daughter, Franco, fake ownership. And if he had any emotional interest before, the silence doesn't just confuse him, it throws him off. Men are wired to notice what's missing more than what's there. They usually don't pay full attention to your presence until it's gone. That's when they start remembering and missing the details. Here's something else. The longer you stay quiet, the more his mind starts building an ideal image of you. He starts remembering all the good parts. Your laugh, your energy, your little habits, and those memories gain power. Without new interaction, his brain fills in the blanks with emotion. That version of you in his head becomes stronger. And in many cases, that can be more powerful than anything you actually say. But here's the thing. It only works if what you gave him before had emotional weight. If you were always just being nice, pleasing him, or playing it safe, your silence might just feel like relief to him. But if your presence made him feel more like himself, made him feel important or inspired, then your absence pulls at him. It creates a feeling he wants back. Disappearing doesn't always mean distance. Sometimes it adds emotional depth. If your presence left a real mark, he'll find himself going through your old texts, hearing your voice in his mind, picturing what it would be like to bump into you again. He might not fully understand it, but what he really misses is how he felt when you were near. That's what drives him back. Not pressure, not guilt, not even just physical attraction. It's emotional distance between how he used to feel and what he can't seem to find anymore. Let's now get into how to build that emotional space on purpose and make him want that connection again. Making emotional space doesn't mean just going silent and waiting around for him to notice. It means creating a type of space that makes him feel the missing piece. The important word is feel. So how do you do that? It begins with giving him emotional depth before you create any distance. A lot of women go quiet too soon. They step back without ever having made a strong emotional mark, and that just feels like a pause, not a gap. He doesn't feel anything missing because he never really experienced anything meaningful to begin with, and that's something he forgets easily. To make a deep emotional space that draws him back in, you need to get this. Men don't chase just because something feels mysterious. They chase when mystery stirs their feelings. That means when he has a moment with you that feels rare, exciting, grounding, or just different from what he's used to, and then that moment vanishes, his brain starts trying to get it back. So what should you do? Begin creating small, simple moments that touch his emotions in a surprising but positive way. Say something he doesn't expect. For example, you know what I admire about you? You really listen when you talk. It's subtle, but it's focused. It shows that you see a part of him that not many people notice. That kind of thing hits deeper than usual. Here's the powerful part. After you give him a moment like that, step back. Don't be dramatic or play games. Just give him space. Go do your thing. Stop over-communicating. Don't rush to fill every quiet moment. That's how you create emotional tension The same feeling that makes people re-watch a favorite scene in a movie just to feel it again. You're not ghosting him, you're giving him a taste of emotional connection and then letting the quiet moments remind him how it felt. Another method to create emotional space is by breaking your usual patterns. If you usually text him good morning every day, stop doing that. If you're always the one to reply right away or keep the chat going, slow down. That little change in your rhythm makes him emotionally alert. He starts thinking, wait, something's changed. That's when the emotional gap starts forming. That's when he begins paying attention again. The more emotionally rich your presence is, the more valuable your silence becomes. But here's what really makes this work for the long term. You're not doing this to trick him. You're doing it to bring back balance. When you're always available emotionally, he doesn't get the chance to miss you or even think deeply about your connection. He needs space to realize what he's losing. Emotional contrast works not because you disappear, but because you've given him something real to feel first, then stepped away enough for him to feel the difference. That's what wakes a man up. That's what pulls him out of autopilot and makes him come toward you, curious and more emotionally engaged. Next, let's go into actual texting tips that help spark emotional curiosity and make him connect your name with a feeling he doesn't want to let go of. Texting is one of the fastest ways to make someone obsessed or to lose their interest. Most people don't mess up texting by saying the wrong things. They mess it up by saying too much, too often, and too soon, without giving emotional breathing room. If you want your messages to stick in his mind, stop thinking like someone who's afraid of being forgotten. Start thinking like someone who knows her energy is unforgettable. Let's turn this around. Instead of always asking plain questions like "How was your day?" or "What are you doing?" send a message that makes his brain light up a little. Something that breaks his usual mental pattern. For example, you could say, "I just remembered something you said the other night. It hit me differently today." That simple line sparks instant curiosity. Now he's wondering, what did I say? What did she think about it? Did it mean something? That's the start of obsession, not attention, but emotional tension he wants to ease. Another way is to use pictures with words, metaphors, rather than basic compliments. Try this. You've got the kind of energy that feels like you've lived 1,000 lives and still kept your softness. That type of message cuts through the surface. It's not flirty, it's emotional. It makes him feel understood in a way the world rarely offers. And once a man feels truly seen like that, it becomes something he wants more of. Now let's talk about timing. Don't always reply instantly. Don't simply match his energy, set the tone. If he sends a dull "What's up?" don't reply with a dull answer. Instead, send something unexpected like, "Just realizing I'm the kind of woman who doesn't chase, but never gets forgotten." No emojis, no follow-up. Let that line sit. He'll read it twice, maybe more. And if he vanishes or pulls away, do not send another text right after. Never double text. Instead, give it a day. Then say, "You have a strange way of disappearing. I almost thought you were a ghost in my phone." It's playful. It's aware. It turns the mirror back on him without coming off as needy. That's how you shift the energy without saying you're doing it. What matters more than anything is the feeling your texts leave behind. Make him laugh when he's overwhelmed. Surprise him when things feel normal. Stay in his mind when he's not expecting it. That's how you become an emotional bookmark. Someone his brain keeps returning to, wondering what you'll say next. It's not about being around all the time. It's about being emotionally powerful through timing, playfulness, and warmth. Now, if you're in a no-contact phase or a breakup situation, let's talk about what to actually do next. So you don't just make him miss you, you make him feel that losing you was a mistake. So you've gone silent. Maybe you were the one who pulled back. Maybe he disappeared. Maybe things just faded. Either way, you're now in that heavy silence where everything feels louder. And the main thought in your mind is, what now? Let's make something clear. No contact is not a punishment. It's not a way to get back at him or count down the days until you can talk again. It's a full reset. But only if you use it the right way. The most important part of no contact is this. Your silence only matters if it carries emotional meaning. If you're spending this time checking his social media, waiting by your phone, and thinking about him non-stop, you're still emotionally present. And even if he doesn't know it consciously, he can feel it. Energetically, you're still there. No contact isn't just physical distance, it's an emotional shift. You're giving things time to settle so the emotional contrast we talked about earlier can actually work. So what should you be doing during no contact? First, rebuild mystery. Don't just stop texting. Go quiet, emotionally too. No vague Instagram stories aimed at him. No sending messages through friends. No accidental run-ins. You become a mystery again. Why? Because people fill in blank spaces with their own imagination, and that is more powerful than anything you could say. Second, focus on growth. The version of you he last saw, she's gone. If he ever does come back, he shouldn't feel like he's picking up where things left off. He should feel like he's meeting someone new, someone even more confident, more grounded, more self-aware. That doesn't mean becoming a totally different person. It means stepping fully into your power. New energy, new habits, new standards. That's the version of you that leaves a lasting impact. And most important of all, don't break. The strength of no contact is in your consistency. If you reach out just because you feel lonely or unsure, you lose all the emotional build-up. He doesn't feel the space. He doesn't question what happened. He doesn't start missing you deeply, because there wasn't enough distance for that feeling to grow. So if he hasn't reached out yet, that's okay. Let the silence stretch. Let it do the work for you. If he truly had feelings, even if they were buried, the silence will pull those feelings to the surface. But if you chase, he'll just keep running. No contact is not about waiting. It's about becoming, so that when the moment comes, whether he reaches out or someone new enters your life, you're no longer the same woman who watched him walk away. Up next, I'll show you how to stay in his thoughts during this silence without saying a single word. You can stay in a man's mind without texting, calling, or posting pictures to get his attention. In fact, the strongest way to stay in his thoughts is through the one thing that never turns off: his emotional memory. You don't need to chase him. You need to leave behind emotional fingerprints. Small, specific, unforgettable ones. Here's how. Start with breaking his mental pattern. When someone gets used to your presence, your voice, your energy, your responses, their brain starts treating you like background noise. But when you step away after giving him a meaningful emotional experience, his brain notices. That sudden change makes his mind search for what's missing. He might ask himself, why do I feel something is off? That small question opens the door for you to quietly live in his mind without doing anything at all. Next, anchor yourself to a moment he never fully processed. Think back. Was there a time when something you said made him stop and think? Did you share a moment, maybe just eye contact, a joke, or a silence that felt heavier than it seemed? Men replay those moments in their heads, especially when they're alone, late at night, during long drives, or while lying in bed. That's when emotional memories grow stronger. The more emotion in the moment, the more likely it is to come back again and again in his mind. Now let's talk about scent, sound, and music. If you wore a special perfume, played a song while you were with him, or even said something in a unique tone, those things stick. Smells and sounds connect directly to emotions in the brain. He might walk through a crowd and suddenly smell something familiar and then think of you. A song might play in his car and pull him straight back into a moment with you. That's not playing games. That's just how the brain works. You're not chasing him. You're already part of his emotional memory. Here's another simple but powerful move. Don't correct his assumptions. Let him wonder. If he thinks you've moved on, let him. If he thinks you're completely fine without him, that's great. That doubt and not knowing exactly how you feel will make him feel more. When he's unsure, he starts caring again. That emotional uncertainty turns into curiosity, and curiosity keeps you in his thoughts longer than any text ever could. And finally, stay silent with strength. Don't overshare online. Don't post just to look happy or show him what he's missing. Real emotional impact is quiet. It's the kind of silence he can't figure out. It's the quiet tension that makes him restless, unsure, and focused on you. And the more he tries to solve that feeling, the more space you take up in his head. The truth is, obsession isn't built on words, it's built on emotional echoes. The feelings he had around you and how empty life feels without them. Now let's move into how to shift this whole energy so you stop being the one hoping he sees your worth and he becomes the one trying to prove he deserves another chance. One of the biggest traps in love is becoming the one who always chases. You're the one who texts first, worries about being too much, and keeps wondering if he's thinking about you. That energy creates a cycle where your value starts to feel tied to how much attention he gives you. But here's the truth that changes everything. Real power comes when you stop chasing and stop choosing. So what does being the chooser mean? It means you take back your power. You decide who gets your time, your care, and your love. You're not chasing someone to prove that you're good enough. You're calmly deciding if they're good enough for you. This isn't about being proud or cold, it's about self-worth. It's about showing up as someone who knows she deserves the best and won't settle for less. When you live in that energy, chooser energy, you stop reacting to his behavior. You don't worry if he pulls away or goes silent. You respond on your own terms. That simple shift sends a clear message. You're not emotionally dependent on him. Your peace doesn't come from his attention. And that kind of energy, it draws people in like a magnet. Want to know how to start shifting into this energy today? First, set your emotional and personal boundaries. Know what's okay for you and what isn't, and stick to it. If he cancels plans or disappears, don't panic and chase him. Stand firm. Wait for someone who respects your time and space. Second, build a full life outside of him. Spend time doing things that make you happy. Focus on goals, friends, and hobbies that light you up inside. When your world is full and meaningful, your confidence and mystery grow naturally. That's more attractive than any text you could send. Third, be more intentional with your communication. Don't feel like you have to answer right away or explain everything. Let him wait. Let him wonder. When you respond with thought and purpose, you make your presence more valuable. But the most important shift is in your thinking. Remind yourself every single day, you are enough. You don't need his approval to feel worthy. Once you start believing that, it shows up in your energy, in your tone, in your choices, in how you carry yourself. And here's the twist. Men are naturally wired to want what doesn't come easily. When you move into chooser mode, you're no longer a simple option. You're a challenge. And the right man, he'll rise to meet that challenge. Switching from chaser to chooser isn't just something you try once, it's a lifestyle. It's about choosing yourself every single day. Choosing your peace, your joy, your future. And when you live that way, the right people come toward you. Now let's look at how to keep attraction strong and lasting, without chasing. Attraction might feel like magic, but it's actually something delicate. And there are common mistakes that ruin it fast. The sad part? Most people don't even realize they're making these mistakes until the spark is already gone. One of the biggest attraction killers is acting desperate. When you come across as needy, when you're always trying to please him or get his approval, it gives off a signal that you don't fully value yourself, and that pushes people away. Confidence doesn't mean being perfect, it means being okay with who you are, even when life is messy. Another mistake is over-communicating. If you're always texting, calling, or trying to stay in touch, especially when he's not giving the same energy back, it creates imbalance. Instead of pulling him closer, it makes him feel pressured. Attraction doesn't grow with pressure. It grows with space, excitement, and curiosity, not constant contact. Trying to change yourself to match what you think he wants is another fast way to lose real attraction. Realness is attractive. When you hide your true self, You might get attention at first, but over time it feels fake. And when your true self finally shows, it can make the connection feel out of sync. Also, not having boundaries is a major issue. If you let someone cancel plans often, ignore your feelings, or waste your time, you're showing them that you're okay with less. That lowers attraction. Self-respect is attractive. Saying no when you need to, walking away when things aren't right, those are the things that keep someone drawn to you. And finally, don't fall into the trap of analyzing every little thing he does or says. When you overthink and stress about everything, it creates anxiety, and that shows in your energy. That nervous vibe can make you feel less grounded and less magnetic.